It claims his fast talking is good for debate, it is the quality of those arguments, not the quantity, the judge should consider. Clarity of both speech and argument is critical to debate. Without it, rhetoric becomes valueless. He also took an extra 20 seconds, allowing him to say even more. Both the extra time and the speed at which he presents his argument give him unfair advantages, and the judges should vote in my favor because of that. Furthermore, his video was cut off at the end, which suggests he would have carried on even longer and possibly gone over his time limit. Since I was not able to hear his full argument through a technical error, which he failed to notice or correct, the judge should also take into consideration the difficulty I face in addressing an argument I did not completely hear. Instead of addressing the issue of animal testing, my opponent skirts around it and continues his tirade on the evils of capitalism, but he fails to make any real connection between the ban on animal testing and the downfall of our current system. The causality is simply not there. After all, animal testing exists in countries that are not capitalist. So logically, whether animal testing is a product or cause of capitalism, if capitalism does not exist, neither should animal testing, and yet it does. He claims the rule of fiat is an illusion, but in doing so creates a logical fallacy, because he uses fiat to his advantage. Realistically, if the government were to ban animal testing, our society would not magically lose all its capitalist qualities. Fiat is critical to debate because it prevents an easy, "oh, well, that would never happen" response. But to exploit fiat and then claim fiat shouldn't exist violates the very rules of debate. Even if his argument could be considered topical, he fails to address the scientific necessity of animal testing for medical purposes. In fact, he doesn't discuss science at all. The only mention he makes of biology is to make the case that animal testing should be banned on members of the animal kingdom. Yet humans are biologically animals. We are also members of the animal kingdom, and this plan would eliminate the possibility of voluntary human testing, which can save countless lives. Now, that Les Miserables reference. That's what people with a sense of humor refer to as a joke. It's meant to be humorous or witty, the joke being that a group of young, unorganized students plan an ill-executed revolution and all of them end up dead. But to claim it's not valid? That's a lie. Victor Hugo based his novel on the very real Paris Uprising of 1832. While I doubt the societal upheaval proposed by my opponent will feature singing Frenchmen, the story and the history illustrate the dangers of revolution without plan, and my opponent fails to provide any plan for what would happen after the collapse of our capitalist society. To simply say capitalism is bad isn't enough. He must also justify why another system would be preferable to the one we currently have. After all, it could be an utter failure and ruin millions of people's lives. Without any idea of what it might be, we have no way of knowing. Whether or not our current system is good or bad is irrelevant if my opponent cannot prove that whatever system would replace it would be better. For example, I can prove peas taste bad and we shouldn't have them for dinner, but if I don't specify what we should replace them with, we could end up with lima beans which taste even worse. My opponent may say alternatives to animal testing exist. However, according to the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, quote, human and animal responses to toxicants are complex and difficult to accurately assess using only in vitro systems or computer models. No single in vitro test method is currently available to serve all regulatory needs for a specific testing area, end quote. Additionally, it notes scientists are required to consider alternative methods before using conventional animal testing. Alternative tests can't produce the same range of test results as animal testing. They may be useful, but they're not capable of fully replacing animal tests yet. Frank E. Trull, president of the non-for-profit Foundation for Biomedical Research, states in Time magazine, quote, at some point in the process, it is critical to understand how a compound works in the whole living system. You can't just determine how it works on blood pressure or the heart. You need to know how it would affect all the organs. People in the research community will be the first to tell you they still don't know enough about how the complex living organism works in order to duplicate it, end quote. Animal tests are a medical necessity. If we ban them completely, people will suffer. People will die. Testing upon animals saves billions of lives. My opponent cannot prove banning animal testing in order to destroy our current economic system outweighs the benefits of continuing these tests. In fact, he fails to provide any meaningful scientific argument whatsoever. His personal vendetta against capitalism is irrelevant to the debate of animal testing. My opponent fails to address the moral or economic advantages of replacing capitalism. He uses fast talk, going over his time limit, and debate buzzwords to avoid actually saying anything relevant to the argument at hand. Thus, the judge should vote in my favor of counterplan to ban animal testing except for medical purposes. It's better for science, it's better for society, and it's better for humanity.